All right, all right. Welcome, welcome everyone to our Monday edition of our Next Gen Nurses free webinar series. I am so excited to have you here. My name is Jennifer Bonner. I am the tutor team lead here at Archer Review. So a lot of what I do is working one-on-one with students. I am a certified nurse midwife with over 15 years of nursing experience. I work in ICUs, endoscopy, labor and delivery, postpartum. And one thing that has been consistent through all of those areas is that this subject of legal and ethical concepts is incredibly important in our career as nurses, regardless of where you are in the nursing profession. So before we get started, let me know, where are you at in your nursing journey? Are you in nursing school? Are you thinking about going to nursing school? Are you a nurse already? I have someone, a Quilcia, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. She said, I took my exam and stopped at 85 questions and I passed. So excited for you. Congratulations. Preparing for NCLEX, nursing school, ready to get ready. Last term of nursing school, last semester, graduating May 2nd. Hey, congratulations. Getting ready for the NCLEX. Awesome. Already a nurse in Mexico, graduated. Congrats. Awesome. So wherever you are in your nursing journey, this is for you because like I said, this concept is going to go over every area of nursing. Oh, Aquilcia said, and I'm 60 years old. Congratulations. That is awesome. So excited for you. So the next question I have, and if you've joined us on our webinars before, you know that I want to know, where are you joining me from? So you can grab your smart device, go ahead and scan that QR code there on your screen, or you can just log into slido.com, enter in that code, capital R, capital R, capital A, capital R, and then lowercase legal. Gift said, I took my exam, computer shut off at number 75. I'm assuming that's probably 85, and I passed. Congratulations. That is awesome. So I'm seeing Miami. Where are you joining me from? Quebec. Welcome. Chicago, Ontario. Awesome. Montreal, Virginia, Seattle. Hey, we are actually coming to Seattle this week. We are going to be at the National Student Nurses Association. We are going to be at the big conference. We are so excited to join you. So let me know if you're going to be there. Please come see us at our booth. UK, New York, Nigeria, Zambia. Oh, I'm sorry. My poll thing is in your way. I apologize. Turks. Okay, Miami, Minneapolis, Waterloo, Buffalo, New Jersey, Canada, Zimbabwe. We are all over the world. Guam. Awesome. So excited that you're joining me. So before we go any further, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So during our time together, if you have a question you need me to answer, I'm going to do my best to get through them. Please put those in the Q&A for me. If you're joining me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, please go ahead and put those in your chats, and I will be trying to grab those as we go through. If you're just answering a question that maybe doesn't have a Slido or you can't get into Slido, no worries at all. Go ahead and put those in the webinar chat, and I will wade through those as well. All right. Well, very good. Well, without further ado, I have another question for you. Why do you think it's important that we understand legal and ethical concepts? Why do you think that's a big deal in nursing? There's no right, there's no wrong answer. I'm just curious. Why do you think it's important for us as nurses to understand these legal and ethical concepts? Or is it protection, safety for our client and us as a nurse, guidelines, protecting us, minimize medical errors, protect ourselves, protect our client, protection, safety? Yeah, I agree. So there's a lot of different reasons why it's really important for us to understand these legal and ethical concepts. So as we go through, we're going to cover quite a bit of ground today. And the first thing that I want to start with is terminology. Now, there's a good bit of terminology that you're going to be expected to know for the NCLEX. And if you're someone that struggles with memorization, One of my favorite ways was to work on this with flashcards, especially if you have children, or maybe you have aging parents or extended family in your home. This is a really great way to get your family involved. Make flashcards for these major terms that we're going to go through, and then make separate flashcards of the definitions and see if you can match them up. So sometimes I recommend, hey, handing your kiddos one stack of flashcards, or your family member or your grandchild or your niece or your nephew, or maybe a neighbor child that is important in your life, and then let them be the teacher and let them grade you on how well you did. It's a great way for you to get your studying in, but also able to interact with those that we love. So the first important term that we're going to learn about today is justice. Now, justice, are we're looking essentially, is it fair? Are we distributing care evenly? Are we administering care fairly? So an example of this might be something like, we're making an impartial medical decision. We're being fair when we distribute care. So among clients, that's in a group of clients, maybe that we're taking care of, care needs to be fair, it needs to be just and equitably distributed among this group of clients. So that's a big one. Justice. So I think about when we go to court, we're looking for justice, we're looking for fairness. Now, the next one is beneficence. Now, this is often confused with non maleficence because it sounds a little similar, right? So, we're going to get that one here in just a minute, but beneficence is doing good. Doing good. Are we doing the right thing for our client? So we have a nurse that's demonstrating this by holding maybe a dying client's hand, maybe supporting them in those final moments of their life. They're doing good for their client. Okay, I told you we were going to get to it. So, non maleficence. Non maleficence is doing no harm. Now, we see this word starts with non, right? So, usually that goes hand in hand with the word not. Non, not. We are not doing harm. So, an example of nurses demonstrating this principle would be things like avoiding negligent care of a client. So, tell me just quickly in your own words, how can we avoid negligent care of a client? What do you think? How can we avoid negligent care of a client? And please, if you're joining us on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, please invite your friends, share, let them know we are here by assuring we perform all our duties, appropriate assessments. I like it. Making sure that we turn a patient. That's a good way to do it. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so let's go to Slido. And one of the ways that I like to practice these words is, let's see if we can put it to use. So I have a question for you. What ethical principle below is accurately paired with the way that the principle is applied to the nursing practice? Beneficence, doing no harm during the course of our nursing care. Justice, the obligation of being fair, equally dividing time and other resources among a group of clients. Veracity, fully answering our clients' questions without withholding any information. Or fidelity, upholding the American Nursing Association's Code of Ethics. What do you think? What do you think the answer is here? Or is it beneficence, justice, veracity, or fidelity? We're looking for the one that goes hand in hand. They're paired correctly. Okay, I'm seeing justice, I'm seeing beneficence, I'm seeing veracity. I think we've got them all covered. Okay. So let's take a look at this question together in 3, 2, 1. Let's see our results here. And our correct answer is veracity. Okay, so let's talk about justice for a minute. Justice is fairness, right? Nurses must be fair when we distribute care, we distribute those resources. It's not always equally among a group of clients, okay? What about beneficence? Well, beneficence is doing good and right for our client. Non maleficence is doing no harm. And what about fidelity? Fidelity is the duty to keep our promises and faithfulness. Okay, so the only one left here is veracity. This is fully answering our clients' questions. We don't want to withhold any of that information. And that's an application for veracity into our nursing practice. It's being completely truthful with our clients. We should not be withholding the whole truth from our clients, even when it can lead to a little bit of client distress. Let's look at another one. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Three, two, one. The nurse is in an elevator and observes two staff members discussing a client's condition. The nurse understands that this conversation may potentially violate which ethical principle? What do you think? Which ethical principle are we violating? Beneficence, whoops, confidentiality, autonomy, or veracity? Seeing some good answers coming in. Hey, I'm seeing confidentiality. I'm seeing B. Awesome work. Great job. All right, let's see how we did here. Many of you said confidentiality. Let's see. And you are absolutely right. Excellent job. Nice work. All right. So I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't tell you about our SurePass program. Now, many of you said that you're getting ready to study for the NCLEX, or maybe you just graduated. Maybe you don't know where to start. Maybe you're like, Jennifer, I'm not even sure if I'm studying right. I'm not sure which package to choose. Please help. Well, I can do that for you. Excuse me. Our SurePass program is our number one recommendation. Why? Well, it gives you access to over 2,000 QBank questions with rationales if you are an RN, and over 1,000 for PN. That alone is an amazing opportunity to get to practice the things that you are going to see, the way you're going to see them. Now, what about those on-demand videos? Have you ever been sitting through class or maybe a lecture or a webinar and you're like, man, they're just going too fast. I missed that. This is a great opportunity for you to be able to slow things down so that you're able to better absorb what is going on with this particular situation. So maybe you're struggling with the difference between placenta previa and placental abruption. We have a video for that. So a lot of times we just need to watch it, maybe slow it down a little bit, just in order to be able to understand what it is that's going on. But not only those videos do you have access to, but you also get access to our 3-day live review. This is my very favorite 3 days of the month. We just finished our April session last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but we go through the high yield topics that you are most likely to see. Jessica said she just joined us. Awesome. Thank you so much. Wonderful teachers, Mary Jane says, did this last week. You're great help. We're so glad you joined us. It's an amazing opportunity to go through those high yield topics with some of our amazing tutors in a way that's broken down and kind of direct and to the point. So if you are struggling and you're not really sure what to do, please don't hesitate. Reach out to us at nclextutors@archerreview.com. These emails come directly to us. We answer them individually. We are here to help you. We're here to walk beside you for your nursing success. So please go ahead, check out what all the hype is about. Check out our SurePass program. All right, so let's get back to some more terminology here. Accountability. This one should not be new to you, but accountability is taking responsibility for our actions, for the care that we provide, the medications we for that are we're going to give. Occasionally, something might go wrong, and in that situation, accountability is accepting those consequences, taking on that responsibility. So, what would be an example of accountability? Well, that we don't blame someone else if we make a mistake. We are human. We're going to make mistakes. I just heard someone say the other day, we have Tabitha, who's our CEO here at Archer Review, and she said it's only a mistake if you make it twice. The first time is a learning opportunity. And that was so powerful to me because we all make mistakes. We all fall short sometimes. But are we going to learn from it or are we going to walk forward? Now, what about fidelity? Fidelity, I think about being faithful, keeping our promises, even in our responsibilities. So, an example of fidelity might mean a client that requests a nurse not reveal their terminal diagnosis to their family. So, when we're practicing this, we're not going to disclose that information without the permission of our client. If our client wants to keep that to themselves, that is their right, and we need to uphold that. We need to practice fidelity in that situation. Has anybody ever been in that situation when you've been asked not to reveal some information? Let me see a show of hands, or you can let me know in the chat. Seeing a couple yeses. Yes, client. Yes. So that kind of makes it a very interesting situation for us because it puts us in a weird spot. But if our client asks us not to reveal that information, we should not do that. Now, what about autonomy? Now, a lot of times we think of this from a client perspective, right? Client autonomy. Now, a client autonomy from the nursing perspective is accepting the client as a unique person who has the right to their own opinions, their own values, and their own beliefs. This means we don't pressure our client into making a decision that we would make if we were in our client's situation. We don't judge them for their decision or try to coerce them to make a different decision, right? Just because we would make a different decision doesn't mean that we try to convince them or coerce them to make the same decision we would. This also means that our client has the right to refuse any and really all treatment if they want to. So, an example of nurses demonstrating this would be getting informed consent from the client for treatment, accepting when that client refuses a medication or a type of care, and even maintaining that confidentiality. Now, a common one that we see on the NCLEX is a client who is a practicing Jehovah's Witness who really needs a blood transfusion. They have the right to refuse that blood transfusion. It's their religious belief and they have that right. We won't judge or we won't try to get them to make a different decision just because we would do something differently. This one can be really difficult, especially when we are looking at um, life-saving practices or even things that could be detrimental to our client's health. It's important that we present the information and we allow our clients to make their decision. Okay, someone asked about veracity. We're going to go through this one right now. So, this is the last of our ethical principles that we're going to discuss veracity. Now, when I think about veracity, I'm thinking very truthful. Veracity, very truthful. We're telling the truth. But what about if we don't give the full truth? Have you ever had that situation? My kiddos, sometimes they think if I tell mom everything, that I might get in trouble. So if I just tell her that I ate a chocolate, well, I'm not lying because I ate five of them, but I'm just letting her know I had a chocolate. Okay. So not giving the full truth. When I was little, I brought a jacket to school, but I didn't want to wear it outside for recess. It was kind of ugly and I really didn't like that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm not a jacket person to this day. Sometimes I will wear shorts and a sweatshirt and flip-flops outside in the snow, and my husband makes fun of me for that. But I didn't want to wear my jacket out to recess. My teacher asked me, she said, "Jennifer, where's your coat?" And I told her I didn't bring one. And so she said, "Well, let's go to your locker and let's see." So guess what? Yeah, she opened my locker, which I definitely wasn't expecting her to do. And she found my jacket and she picked it up and she asked me, she said, what is this? And I said, that is a jacket. I didn't bring a coat. That is a jacket. So I omitted part of the truth, and that made it a lie. And I got in a whole lot of trouble for telling my teacher a lie. So we want to make sure that we are telling the full truth. We don't get to decide what our client learns about their diagnosis. It is their right to know. So this is even if we think the news might upset them. There have been a few times in practice where, as a nurse midwife, I've had to give a client some, disappointing news that maybe they had cancer. Most people don't want this type of news. And if I'm being completely honest, I didn't want to give that news either. But it's their right to know. I don't get to decide which parts they get to know. And I realize that my client may not take the news of cancer so well, but I am not going to withhold some of that information. So I might tell her she has cancer, but maybe not tell her it's terminal. That's not what we're supposed to do. That's not practicing veracity. I'm going to tell her the full truth. Now, another example that I've seen quite a bit, especially in the worlds of pediatrics, is telling a kiddo who's about to get a shot what? Sometimes, what do we say that's not telling them the full truth? It's not gonna hurt. You got it. Yeah. Sometimes we sound, no, is it gonna hurt? No, it'll be fine. We don't want them to be scared, right? But it goes against this ethical principle. Or what about lying for the sake of convenience? Have you ever told a client something isn't possible or has to be done earlier than it really does? Like waking in the early hours of the morning so that you can get through your work sooner, or because maybe you're just too busy. Maybe in the last part of your shift, you're trying to leave and a client asks for an extra pillow. You're all done. You're ready to go home. So you tell them, oh, sorry, we're all out. It doesn't sound like a big deal, does it? No, I just told him we don't have a pillow. No big deal. But it actually goes against this ethical principle of veracity. Okay, so what about those legal concepts? So this is where we're going to spend the rest of our time today is on these legal concepts. Now the first one is advanced directives. Um we're also going to talk about living wills, but advance directive is a set of instructions that someone prepares in advance of ill health that's basically going to determine what their healthcare wishes are. Now, a lot of times people are going to have these as they're getting older, understanding there might come a time when decisions have to be made about the care that they're going to have, and they may not be able to make those decisions. So basically, what this document does is it tells their loved ones what they would like done in certain medical situations. It just kind of tells them what their wishes are. Now, a living will is a little bit different, but it's a type of advance directive that becomes effective when a person is terminally ill. Now, both are legal documents, both have the goal of our client making their wishes known. These can actually specify what the client is and actually is not okay with. So, for example, they might be okay with being on a ventilator, but they might specify if I'm on it for 5 days without any progress, please discontinue the ventilator. So it's telling them I would be okay with a ventilator under these specific circumstances. Okay. So not only do we need to know what these documents are, but we need to make sure that we actually read them and understand and exercise the ethical principle of our client's autonomy. So, any chance y'all have ever watched those medical drama shows? You know what I'm talking about? The one where someone starts chest compressions and then they find out, oh no, that client is DNR, right? This happens actually from time to time, and we need to actually advocate for our clients' wishes in that situation. Now, what about a medical power attorney? This is another legal term that you're going to hear, medical power of attorney. This is a legal document that's actually designating a specific person to make medical decisions for our client if they were unable to make their own decisions. So let's say they're incapacitated, they're not able to make decisions for themselves, maybe they're unconscious. This is done beforehand and designates someone to make those decisions for them. If the client hasn't designated someone, depending on which state the client is in, generally that's going to determine who makes that decision based on the state laws. So with this document, our client doesn't spell out their wishes. They basically say, hey, my husband gets to decide. Now, sometimes the client is going to have this and they're going to have an advance directive. And that loved one will actually be able to take that information and reference it. And that makes things a little bit easier because then they know, okay, this is what they wanted. So this is what I need to do. Now, where I live, the person's spouse is given the initial right. Next is an adult child, a parent, an adult sibling, but each state is a little bit different. Now, when there are no family members available or a family member does not agree to the decision to be made, the state can even step in and help in that situation. Now, because this is different from state to state and we don't all practice in the same state, you're not going to see a question like that on the NCLEX about that chain of command because it's different from state to state. I do want you to understand what that medical power of attorney is. Now, what about those federal laws? We're all pretty familiar with HIPAA, right? We need to talk about HIPAA, but I'm fairly certain you guys are pretty familiar with it. This Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Now, what this does is it protects our clients' health information and their medical records. Now, an ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, this is a law that prohibits discrimination specifically against those clients with disabilities. So basically, if it's a public place, it needs to be accessible to all of those, even those with disabilities. So public pools, public transportations, libraries. So think about the different types of places that you've been just within the last week, the public places. I was actually at a public pool yesterday and I realized that they have a lift for those people who are unable to walk into the pool. It's pretty awesome. It makes people feel like they're included and they're able to enjoy the same things that we do. Our public library, it has a ramp going in, it has an elevator to take you up, which is great. Now, the last one we're going to talk about is EMTALA. This is the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act. And this requires stabilization treatment for anyone coming to the ER, regardless of if they have insurance or the ability to pay for the services that they need. This is a big priority, even for those who use the ER as a primary care facility. Okay. If they show up, they have the right to be treated. Now, this also applies when we're transferring clients back and forth, when they're sending from the ER to maybe like a nursing home, a long-term care facility. There's paperwork done that shows they were treated and that someone is also accepting their care. So that is the gist of those federal laws. One last thing I want to talk to you about is documentation. Now, we all know that if something wasn't charted, it wasn't done, right? The chart is able to be viewed by other providers, even our client, but it can also be reviewed by Joint Commission, Medicare, Medicaid, other quality assurance committees. So it's really important that we make sure that we are charting in real time, that we are not charting under someone else's name, that we're charting under ours, and that we get out of that in before we move on to something else, and that we chart accurately. We do not delay our charting. We don't chart early. Man, there are so many things that can happen in a short amount of time. I can't tell you the amount of times that I have heard someone charting that the client was resting, and at the time that they're saying the client was resting, something happened and it was clear that they were not. We don't want someone else charting under our name, but we also don't want to chart for someone else. These are very important concepts. And we also want to be careful about our opinions. We're going to have them, but we want to refrain from documenting these opinions, especially if if we have a client that's using some foul language. We may have some opinions about that. If we need to, you know what we can do? We can quote our client. We can say exactly what they said, put it in quotations, and that gets our point across. Wow. Okay. So that was fast. That was furious. If you need to, this is being recorded. It's on our Facebook page, it's on our YouTube channel. Go back, slow it down, share it with your friends, review it again and again. It's there for you, just like we are here at our review, regardless of where you are. If you've decided today, hey, I'm going to go into nursing, we're here for you. We have an amazing team of pre nursing experts that are ready to help you get into nursing school, taking that TEAS test. If you're in nursing school, we have an amazing program for you to break down those difficult concepts. We have cheat sheets, we have private tutoring, we have what you need. NCLEX, we got you right here. We're talking about those high yield concepts. We talked about the SurePass program. But did you know that if even if you're looking for an advanced practice degree, we have a community for you. It is growing. So please don't hesitate. Check out those areas. We are excited to work with you. And remember, if we can help in any way, we are more than just test prep. We're here for you. We want to walk alongside you, help where we can. Don't hesitate. Send us an email at nclextutors@archerreview.com. We will answer you just as soon as we can. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been an amazing 30 minutes together. And if you are going to be in Seattle, don't forget to come say hello. I can't wait to meet you. Have a great week, guys, and we'll be back on Wednesday with our next free webinar. Take care. Have a